It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, Fernando. What's up? Turn the volume up. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. I'm going to get a little spicy because I'm just tired. I'm tired. What's new? But good morning. Hey, Fernando. Hey, so if you're checking me out on Facebook, I appreciate you. Say good morning in the chat. If you're following along on Twitch, good morning. Thank you. Make sure you say good morning in the chat. Also, if you're one of my 2 to 5 viewers on YouTube, good morning. Thanks for streaming live on YouTube. Thanks for watching later, maybe. That's all. I just wanted to say those things. But yeah, good morning, Whiskey Neat. Good morning. Good morning. I actually, I'm trying to think about what I was going to talk about today. There's so many things within the news cycle that we could just jump into. Good morning, Thoughtfully Lit on Twitch. So many things that we could jump into regarding current affairs here and current issues. But honestly, I want to dig deeper, and perhaps for some of y'all who've been following me, like me, this ain't new, this ain't different. It might not be, but I want to really just look closer at the Post and Courier, just so we can point out some things and encourage y'all to have to examine. Look at my nails, y'all. It's just, that's how real it is, y'all. That's how real it is. Like, yeah. But I want us to talk about the Post and Courier and what I'm observing. Like, seriously, we'll make jokes and whatnot, but really want folks to see what's going on here and these bad faith arguments that are being constantly being printed in the paper, whether it's from columnists, whether it's from opinion columnists or whomever. There is a narrative that the Post and Courier is committed to, and there's a lot of things like this is it's not specific to Charleston, but I would say Charleston has perfected. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning, D. Bartlett on Twitch. Charleston has perfected the art of looking conscious, of looking like you care, all the while, moving in a way in terms of policy making that contradicts that level of care you want us so desperately to have. So I'm gonna switch up real quick, switch up the view. My bad. If you shout out, if you're in community with me in the coalition group, you already saw that I dropped this article in our thread. This article, this is Brian Hicks. I'm not a Brian Hicks fan. I kind of was like ambivalent, or maybe I was kind of, I don't know. I was letting Brian Hicks cook for a minute, even though there were things I saw that were very interesting. Like when his book came out, I know the ACLU invited him to talk. He wrote a book about wearing, one of the good wearings, because they loved. I'm talking about historical wearings. They love telling you about the one that left Thurgood Marshall slack-jawed, but the Warings family is real, and it's filled with white supremacy. But anyway, Brian Hicks wrote a book about the good Judge Waring, and the way he framed some of the thoughts in his book was, to me, very paternalistic and very and so that piqued me to like his kind. Good morning, Saint Facade. It piqued me. Good morning, Jillian on Facebook if you're watching. It piqued me to like the kind of tone Brian Hicks likes to employ. And then this summer, or rather spring and summer, when the Jamal Sutherland case, when the Jamal Sutherland details started to emerge, Brian Hicks, this opinion column was used to trickle out information. Shout out to Fernando. It's just serendipitous that Fernando is watching on Facebook, because Fernando was the one to peep. Like when Brian Hicks leaked out that the video was coming. Good morning, B-Man. Brian Hicks wrote this opinion column with no quotes, but he apparently had a lot of information coming in about the tape and the graphic images captured on the tape, so on and so forth. But the tone he struck was so condescending. It was just so like just so like inflated sense of self, and in the way that the information was disclosed. So what that really alerted me to, and I've been talking more about this, and I want to continue to talk about this. I want to talk about the way white folks and white institutions frame or engage with Black trauma, and then how they engage with Black survivorship. Like, Black survivorship is not treated, survivorship of Jim Crow, which is apartheid, survivorship of the enslavement, enslavement of Black bodies, the vestiges of slavery. The way that the white culture, the white dominant culture, really engages with that is so weird, for lack of a better word. And Brian Hicks, I think, in the way, knowing how big the Jamal Sutherland case really is, no matter how Charleston has already downplayed it and already relegated it to almost like to the trash heap in terms of people talking about the issue. But Brian Hicks, the way he engaged with it was so like nonchalant. And we're talking about Black death. We're talking about Black bodies. And he was just so nonchalant. And so I started to see these things, start paying more attention to his reporting. And here in the opinion column, it has a timestamp of 27, which was yesterday. He has quotes from Tecklenburg, so we'll hold Tecklenburg accountable for the thoughts he communicated here. But and we'll get to Tecklenburg in a second, because the whole teaser of this video was white myth making, and what the Post and Courier is really good at. And so Brian Hicks used his opinion column, to discredit, I would argue, and to diminish the work of the coalition that I'm a part of, right? He starts off by, and this is some straight BS. Y'all remember I made a video on Instagram a while ago, if you follow me on Instagram, about how you need to no, I said it with Ray Jean. Shout out to Ray Jean. Welcome back home, Ray Jean. Ray Jean just did his Million Mentor March. No, he didn't. Rashawn and his mentee peers and colleagues just traversed, I believe, the East Coast and had this amazing trip. Shout out to Ray Jean. But during that interview I had with Ray Jean on his show, I talked about like how these lawmakers, they continue to tell us that they continue to participate in progressive protest movements. They continue to They continue to show up in spaces to suggest that, that they care. I'm playing around right now, right? They show up in spaces. Shout out Melissa Moore for encouraging me this morning. They show up in spaces, like our lawmakers show up in spaces and act like they care. And this is the picture of our mayor in Dashiki. Mayor, I'm just going to talk about the mayor. I'm not going to talk about his wife. This is a picture of our mayor in a Dashiki, next to an art installation that says "Stay Woke." So like we have lawmakers here who will participate in protests. They will call us behind the scenes and try to broker deals and broker press conferences to make sure that we're flanking the mayor to support whatever little like measly, a little crumbs of justice, right? They call us for that, and they do things like this, right? This performative crap, and we're supposed to be pacified by that performative and not look at the policy. So here, Charleston Mayor John Tecklenburg has some strong feelings about all of these calls to defund the police. Now, this is in response to the Justice for All coalition. We reviewed the memo here very briefly, but we reviewed the memo here on my Twitch stream, and y'all saw how long. Like, for those who have been watching, those who didn't, this is a rich document. This took hours and hours of work. It took a lot of planning, a lot of insight, a lot of folks spending an inordinate amount of time coming up with ideas, comparing policies, in other municipalities who've aggressively dealt with police brutality and is responding to police brutality and abuse of power at the hands of the police. Tecklenburg and the Dashiki. Yeah, I think that was around the Wakanda, like Black Panther time. I think it was some kind of art. I forgot. But I remember that making the rounds years ago. Everybody was just like dying laughing. But like the work that was poured into those lists of demands were numerous. They were thoughtful. When you look at that document, you could not walk away saying, well, this wasn't serious, that this wasn't a serious. It was not only was it a serious effort, it was exemplary. And so this is a response. So I guess that must have gotten stuck into the craw of Mr. Brian Hicks. And this is what columnists do, but this is what white men I feel like white men tend to do is get defensive and then be smug. Like this smug reflex is real, and it's so dismissive and condescending is because they've been validated to think all their life their opinions have been lifted up all their lives. Their thoughts on politics have been sought after. They've seen themselves in government. They've seen themselves in power of position almost everywhere. So that's patriarchy, right? And so I do believe there are a lot of people who just who don't even try to hide how these problematic and these oppressive tendencies manifest in their work, and Hicks is no different. So here he says Charleston Mayor John Tettlenberg has some strong feelings about all of these calls to defund the police, right? Even though we worded it different, we don't even participate in sloganeering, but go but have at it, but ignore that. In terms of the coalition's work, I know I'm defund the police all day, but the coalition as a body, we've employed different language with deeper meaning, and he knows that, right? All right, Hicks knows that, and the mayor knows that as well. All right, so okay, so he has strong feelings about defund the police. The whole concept, and this is a quote, the whole concept, ? It ain't happening here. Okay, the mayor says, hell no, no way, no how. Nowhere. It's just not in our vocabulary. Public safety is a priority, number one. First of all, defund the police, even if you want to use it verbatim, it does not equate to lack of public safety. That's first and foremost. So I don't even know why you would even say the two. And see, the thing, it's a way for you to signal to your business district, Mayor Tettlenberg, and I'm gonna speak directly to Mayor Tettlenberg right now. Mayor Tettlenberg, there's a way for you to signal to your business district. It's a way for you to signal to the CVB. It's a way for you to signal to developers that you are on board with them, by not just jumping off the ledge here and going hell no, nowhere, no how, and then you're going to take your ass back to our communities and you're going to ask for the black vote, right? And someone should come to you and say hell no, no way, no how, nowhere. Someone should literally put that in your face, because I think this response is beneath you, Mayor Tettlenberg, right? So you know what the issues are. You know that your police force just completed an audit not too many years ago that cited racial bias. You didn't put any money into funding any solutions that would help balance power, and make sure that police don't have too much power and influence in our city. You've never moved in a way that was signal to us, right? So you I don't know, I'm going all over the place, but there's ways for you to say I'm not with defund the police without acting crazy, without acting like you don't understand what defund the police is really about at its core, right? But you're talking to the moneyed millionaire class. You're not talking to regular everyday citizens. Nicole in the Twitch chat, you say if public safety is number one, then that sentence is wrong, right? Yeah. It is. Exactly, because the police pose a threat to public safety, especially our police, right? So let me get through this, because I'm just got hot by the adamants. No way, no how, no. I wish you would say that about developers coming in and building structures that exacerbate the flooding. I wish you would say hell no, no way, no how about how you have West Edge coming in here and proposing things that that will disenfranchise black poor people. I wish you would have that type of adamance about those issues, but you don't, right? All right, so yeah, I'm looking for our policymakers to publicly affirm their love of Black lives via policy, and this right here shows you that that's not it, right? Such a thoughtless response as well. Good morning, Meg, on Facebook. All right, so it says this should come as no surprise to anyone, and it doesn't, since that's exactly what Tecklenburg and other city officials have said since the Fund the Police became a thing. But this past week, a coalition of low country social justice activists and civil rights groups delivered a 9-page list. It was a comprehensive document, but we'll go with a 9-page list of demands for revisioning public safety, and exactly that, right, Nicole? To your point, we're lifting up what public safety looks like. It literally, that's the language. Thank God he quoted it here, but that's the language we use in the document, revisioning public safety in Charleston County. And this is the thing where white people do this thing where where they tell you where the like they tell you what you can't have, because they're invested in maintaining the status quo, right? But we'll get to that. So of course it included divesting from traditional law enforcement. That is a direct line from the document. Divesting from traditional law enforcement, as Gregory, you reported in the Post and Courier, right? The mayor didn't get the memo because it was aimed at county officials, but the coalition singled out Charleston police a couple of times, literally 2 times in that damn 9-page document, 2 times. But your butt hurt, Brian Hicks, so you go ahead and you just laser focused in on the 2 times we mentioned Charleston PD. But let's go ahead. It's not like Charleston PD didn't kill anybody, on December 29th of 2020. It's not like they were found to have racial bias on the force. It's not like the police department in Charleston. It's not like they stop black people disproportionately to white people. It's not like that has nothing to do with public safety, right? Okay, right. Okay. The mayor didn't get the memo because it was aimed at county officials, but the coalition singled out Charleston police a couple of times. Unfortunately, one of those mentions came in a suit it. Time out. First of all, oppression is linked, but number one, what Brian Hicks is trying to do, again, trying to limit things and this is a really bad faith argument, and he didn't even take the time to really, if you want to be pithy, if you want to be smug, take your time and write the jokes. Make sure you write the jokes well, because this is a horrible joke writing. He says Charleston had nothing to do with that. The problems that we see at Al Cannon, the problems in terms of use of force, the problems in terms of the criminalization and the detaining of mentally ill folks, or folks who are suffering from apparent mental illness or crisis, those things that occur at Al Cannon also occur at the Charleston Police Department. Just because we don't have a Jamal Sutherland case on film, doesn't mean that what happened to Jamal Sutherland at Al Canyon doesn't happen to people who match his description or have a similar story. It doesn't mean that doesn't happen there. So I don't know why, again, 9-page document, we mentioned Charleston PD twice, and you're trying to say that Jamal Sutherland case doesn't have anything to do with CPD. And I think this is really interesting too, because we know we saw the events of last summer, how when there was threat of uprisings, that Charleston PD enlisted the help of other police departments within the area, including Mount Pleasant and their SWAT team. So you enlisted other law enforcement officials, and we also know that Charleston PD does work in concert with the county, right? I'm not understanding all the nuances of their relationship, but we do know that Charleston PD does work on some issues in concert with the sheriff's department. Like, so to act as if law enforcement, to act as if there's no law enforcement culture, to act as if these issues that we've outlined in a 9-page document don't point to a systemic or structural issue, which is what he's refuting. He's refuting that the things that we're seeing and we're lifting up are isolated incidents. They'll lone wolf you, Dylan Roof. They'll lone wolf you to death in this state. They'll lone wolf you and isolated incident you to death. And we know that these occurrences happen all too often. And the fact that there are so many exemptions where our law enforcement officers can go about inflicting harm on communities, right? Black communities, poor communities, and so on and so forth, and not have to turn over footage from body cams or dash cams. The fact that those exemptions exist, it helps them with this Fugazi argument, because we don't have the evidence to back up what we're saying. But we know the evidence exists because we have access to public defenders. We know that these stories, that Jamal Sutherland is just one of many, because we know that the Post and Courier reported on on such things for over years. We've read the reporting, right? So I don't know. It's just to me, it's an argument. It's an argument to poke holes in the whole structural racism and structural image. It's trying to poke holes in that whole argument that this is a structural issue and that law enforcement across the board has to be interrogated and has to be questioned. So yeah, he just goes on. Charleston had nothing to do with it. Charleston does have a role in it, and for a white man to sit behind a keyboard and to tell people who help craft policy over months and months, weeks and weeks of working together, over a year of working together, for him to just be like, oh, that had nothing to do with this, when we've studied the issue and we're telling you that these things are linked. We're telling you it's not anecdotal evidence. It's actually something that can be proven if you just with a fucking FOIA request. We're telling you that these issues are pervasive along law enforcement, and you're trying to poke a hole in it with your smugness as opposed to really looking in the issue with a fair and honest perspective. But this is an opinion column, so have at it, right? Had nothing to do with it other than serving as a site of protest. No, Charleston has everything to do with. Charleston has a history of violence. Charleston PD has an issue with use of force. It's so interesting that he didn't bring that up. So he did, so anyway, he goes on to say that, and then I guess Tettlenberg, then this was cute right here. This was real cute from our mayor. Good morning, Michelle on Facebook. Good morning, Talia Rivers on Facebook. This was what really got me going. If somebody wants to complain about too many police officers on King Street, I'm not going to apologize. Way to signal to your CVB, Mayor Tecklenburg. Remember, Mayor Tecklenburg, you're not just the mayor of businesses. You're not just the mayor of development and hotels. You're the mayor of Charleston. You're the mayor of Charleston. Remember that. So while you can capitulate and drop to your knees all you want to these money millionaires, but the truth will be what it is, and we will continue to be very vocal about your lack of commitment to hearing out folks on the margins. We know who lines your coffers, right? If somebody wants to complain about too much, yeah, we will complain about that. That's what we're supposed to do. So he's also lobbying for a police state in Charleston, which is interesting. Why would you want your tourism city to just be lined with police? Like, why would you want that? Just in the general, why wouldn't you, instead of coming out and being so adamant and trying to capitulate to CVB, wouldn't you just come out and say, we want a safer Charleston, and wouldn't you say that and say that? To me, more police on King Street doesn't feel safe to me. Not just because I'm a black woman and my body's gonna be policed differently from Taylor. Shout out to Taylor, our fictional liberal protester, right? Even though my body might be looked different from Taylor's body, I know I'm gonna even though my lived experience tells me that police are not a source of safety for me. In general, as a tourist, who the hell wants to see a bunch of cops on King Street? And I'm not saying that he's saying that literally, but what we're saying is that a police presence or overstated police presence doesn't communicate safety. It communicates the opposite. It'll put me on guard. It'll put me on edge. It doesn't, to me, communicate safety. So that's how I feel. But he wanted to make sure that folks got that he was tough on crime, right? Instead of addressing the conditions that create crime and add to crime and whatnot. Okay. All right. That's what we're supposed to do, right? So yeah, you can be responsible to those issues by actually trying to get at the root of the issue. Let me go on. Let me hit up on the Twitch chat. This article is infuriating. Yeah, it's so dismissive, right? Right. Same facade, incredibly disingenuous, completely. Always so pressed whenever the police are critiqued. I'm telling you. So yeah, Brian Hicks, he probably sat back and thought he did something with this one. And this is again. So there's solutions to the upright. There's solutions to the things that are lifted up in audits. Their solutions is more policing, is more money to police. So this is interesting. It says the city is putting $50 million toward affordable housing, and the police just opened a substation and a gathering center. No, it's a substation. It's not a tree house. It's not an after-school community center. It's a police station. It's a substation that they've thrown some bean bags and some faux fur throws on a pleather couch. It's a police station meant to surveil this community. And I guess Brian is thinking that this is a solution. The gathering center is a solution because we want police officers to provide these services. We don't want counselors and trained professionals, mental health professionals. We don't want social workers. We want cops in the community with the gathering center. Okay, all right. And shame on those at CFC who helped okay the idea of a gathering center at Gadsden Green. Shame on you at CFC. I'm watching Jim Wright. I'm gonna say that again on camera. I'm watching Jim Wright at CFC because I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'm watching very closely CFC's complicity and increasing the police state here in Charleston, and then trying to act as if you're actually just trying to provide data and some sort of analysis when you're literally building the argument for these oppressive forces to exist. Shame on you, CFC. And there's some other people I ain't gonna name yet, but I'm looking. So yeah, it's I know Brian Hicks thought he did something good here. I'm gonna read, and it says the coalition's manifesto. It's very dismissive. It's very, but so to me, the larger issue is how South Carolina, how this paper continuously just is invested in printing things that talk about upholding the status quo, and that's very dangerous. We need a paper, and again, it's the opinion column, so it is what it is. But we need a paper that challenges, that actually interrogates issues from all sides. I won't say challenges I don't want the paper to do what I want it to do. I want the paper to act like a paper. I want the paper to examine all sides fairly. I want the paper to tell me something I didn't know. But this white male response to any type of really thoughtful thoughtful responses to such a deep and profound issue, to me, it's gaslighting, and it makes you feel, it has the tendency to make you feel as if you're on the wrong side of the issue. AJ, good morning. Yeah. Who are the police protecting from who? AJ, you went on to say on Facebook, Brian Hicks uses what's this? Is it okay? Brian Hicks is a hack journalist who is so far removed from the actual issues. I feel like that. The word hack came up in my mind too, AJ. So I'm on the same page as you. Let me hop over to let me just kind of do. So I wanted to point this out. So, okay, let me do this, and then I'm going to move on to just what I want to talk about, because I got to hop off at 8:30 sharp. So we saw the Post and Courier, uphold the status quo here with the Nancy Mace profile after the insurrection. Of course, you want to talk to a Republican woman who supported Trump after the insurrection. You want to talk about her and make her out to be both a heroine and a victim of white supremacist violence, and she was not. So they tried to uphold Nancy Mace and make her out to be this heroine to help her with her moderate makeover, right? They did that whole thing. Y'all know my whole take on that whole thing. Instagram videos are still up. And then so yesterday was the 6th anniversary of Bree Newsom scaling the flagpole in Columbia to bring down a Confederate flag. The reason why I'm bringing that up to talk about the Post and Courier is because we've also seen the Post and Courier. Y'all remember this? I dropped this in the stories on Instagram yesterday. Y'all remember this last year? Shout out to Caitlin, but Caitlin got it real wrong. She got it real wrong when she was at the Post and Courier with this piece. So like a year ago, Caitlin posted this piece. 5 years ago today, July 10th. This came out July 10th. Bree Newsom, of course, scaled the poll on June 27th. But that's the detail in the story that Caitlin wrote here last year. That's the detail that they omitted. I opened up the story and there was no mention of Bree Newsom. And in fact, what they did was in the piece, let me scroll down. In the piece, the piece, if you would click on the link, which I'm not going to click on it right now, but it goes on to paint Nikki Haley as a true hero in getting the flag down. And that's so far from from the truth, right? And it's this deliberate effort to like, okay, so you're gonna help Nikki Haley with her myth, make the making of that myth, and you're saying, well, she's not white. We know that Nikki Haley likes to traffic in that racial ambiguity space. We know that Nikki Haley also loves her proximity to white power, and she's definitely upheld white supremacist points of views. So in terms of her alignment, political alignment, she has a pro-white association for sure, and you could tell in terms of how she's moved when she was governor, and now after as she's trying to launch some sort of career, we see Nikki Haley still flailing. But this was an effort also to lift up Nikki Haley's legacy. Okay, so we had the Nancy Mace, the Nikki Haley, and this, and I want to say how this erasure. Right, because my response was this tweet that got a little bit of engagement from my account, significant engagement, right? And let me go back one more. And it was the erasure. So it's to the erasure of the contributions of Black folk. What that tends to do is it rewrites history, and it tends to make you think. If you reflect back, if you go back and try to look up these stories, it makes you think, well, oh, there was no Black opposition. It makes you think, oh, well, folks just waited for Nikki Haley to enact policy. You know, there was no complicated feelings. There were no feelings of horror when the Confederate flag was not lowered to respect a slain state senator. You know, it's important that these institutions tell the whole truth, tell the whole story. The third example I wanted to give was what they did with Harry Griffin. When Harry Griffin was literally featured on a white supremacist flyer featuring the Proud Boys, our Post and Courier waited 2 weeks to write about that story. Our Post and Courier waited 2 weeks to write about how a sitting city councilman was slated to be a speaker at a Proud Boys rally. Not only did they not write about it when the news broke and the flyer broke, they refused to write about it for a length of time after the tapes came out, when the backbiting snakes, there's no honor among white supremacist thieves. And so when the backbiting snakes turned on each other, the Post and Courier chose not to write about that story for weeks, not days, weeks. And these are political decisions. To omit history, to uphold the status quo, this is all deliberate. To whitewash and to make Nancy Mace out to something she's not. She's not a victim. She's not a damsel in distress. She wasn't a victim. She wasn't a victim that's not the perspective I'd want to hear from after white supremacists stormed the Capitol, after people who espouse views like Jews will not replace us storm our nation's capital. The last perspective I really want to hear from is a woman who actually worked for one of the most historic figures in fear mongering and race baiting and white supremacist terror, Trump, the son of a Klansman. The last perspective I want to hear from is a woman who signed up multiple times to work for a white supremacist. I don't want to hear from her. I want to hear from other folks. And you got James Clyburn was right there. Jim Clyburn was right there. Right, but you sought out that white woman and lifted her up as a damsel in distress, even though she was part of that. You could argue that she'd be more at home and comfortable with the faction that stormed the Capitol than she would be with me. Let me go back to the chat. Hey, good morning, Jessica. Going back to previous thoughts, wait a minute, you want the news to inform and educate, right? And then Jessica, you went on and says that was a slam dunk. I can't believe they weren't over. Exact. The Harry Griffin stuff is so befuddling. Good morning, Kara, on Facebook if you're watching. Yeah, the Harry Griffin, like that's like, sell a newspaper. If you don't care about the issues, that's one thing, but sell a newspaper. And I would venture to say that a disgraced city council person get you a couple copies sold at the Blue Water, at the Shell station, get you a couple clicks in the inbox at the very least, right? So yeah, it was a slam dunk to cover Harry Griffin and his subsequent fall from grace, but yet they keep publishing sprawling like opinion pieces from other people who are trying to support Harry Griffin. And to have people defend Harry Griffin for participating in a white supremacist rally, to have people defend that openly. It just shows you how much of a like twilight zone we're in Charleston and in the country, because we see it everywhere actually. But shout out Bree Newsome. I'm gonna play this video. I know I ain't played that many videos this morning. I'm gonna play this video because I edited it down and added the captions. Because yesterday we need to commemorate June 27th, 2015, this black woman scaled a flagpole in Columbia, South Carolina, because our state leaders refused to lower this flag, even though it's a shameless, shitty flag that's nothing but white supremacist ideology. Our lawmakers did not lower that flag to honor that black man who was killed by a white supremacist terrorist who actually used that flag in his manifesto online, used that flag, waved that flag proudly. Our state leaders would not lower this flag in respect and honor of Clementa Pinckney. This black woman was incensed. She came down from North Carolina and she climbed that flagpole and she brought that shit down. Yeah, they put it back up in 45 minutes, but she climbed up there, and that act of courageousness, that act of bravery, that act of standing up to what she faced, that's something that should be remembered and included. They've taken it out of documentaries about the Emanuel 9. They've taken it out of the history books, and we need to remember this. And we can't let institutions like the Post and Courier continue to make myths out of white people who are sympathetic to white supremacy or those who just uphold the status quo. We will not turn them into giants. We will not. So let me just play this real quick. Just shout out Bree Newsome.
In 2015, we've had this horrific, racially motivated killing in Charleston. We had this moment of the pastor of Emanuel AME, Clementa Pinckney. He had his casket processed through the streets of Columbia because he was also a state senator. And they lowered the United States flag. They lowered the state flag of South Carolina, but not the Confederate flag. And just the fact that there was a refusal to even show the slightest bit of regard for the Black lives that were lost there at Emanuel AME just illuminated everything that we had been saying up to that point about the valuing of property over Black life.
And you could say that property, the value of property over Black life, you can bring that back to the Mayor Tecklenburg criticism, because that's what it was. It was a value of you are beholden to valuing property over Black lives, over the lives of many people. But I'm Black and I'm going to talk about Black lives. What's up, Rajon? We just talked about you earlier. AJ, you wrote again in the Facebook chat. You wrote another comment. I shouldn't say again. You wrote another comment in the Facebook chat. Whitewashing and race neutrality are on par or par for the course for Post and Courier. Yeah, they definitely whitewashed the truth. Welcome back, Rajon. Hey, B-Man. Thank you, Nicole, for the subscriptions. Thank you for gifting the subscriptions. I appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. But B-Man, you say same playbook, different decade. Yeah, Bree Newsome is a hero. And to that point, I want to say this. I heard Tiffany Cross say this on her show on Saturday. Y'all, this is to white people. If you ever thought about like, man, what would I do back in the 50s? What have I done during Jim Crow in the 60s and 50s and whatnot? I would have done this. I would have done that. Whatever you're doing today is what you would have done in 1950s and 1960s. Whatever you're doing right now is what you would have done back then. Shout out to Tiffany Cross, who's kind of, I've heard that dozens of times from different people, but it just really resonated this weekend. Whatever you would have done, whatever you're doing now is what you would have done in the 50s. So we're in it's definitely different decade in the same playbook, and it's the same issues, different decade as well, especially when it comes to voting rights and the rights of Black people in general. So I just wanted to give a reason to show a Bree Newsome video clip. Let me see real quick, because I do have to bounce in 20 minutes. Explore Charleston. I tweeted about this too. Y'all know this is Middleton Place. When you see this is not a garden. This isn't some sort of sprawling landscape, some old estate that belongs to some sort of, some old I don't know, factory, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like some barren or whatnot. This is not that. Whenever you see pictures like this, you know it's a slave plantation. You know there's literally black blood, black bodies probably even in the soil here. Reason why I'm bringing this up is just please don't keep your eye off the ball. When you talk about these institutions, and I keep talking about the CBB, this is the CVB. Explore Charleston is not just a marketing social media tool. The CVB traffics in propaganda. It promotes terror. It promotes white supremacy. It takes these atrocious places and turns them into venues for joyous occasions. And just keep your eye on them. So when I talk about CVB and how the mayor is making sure that he speaks to them through policy and publicly on microphones, this is what I'm talking about. And you see how they just it's bossing say. If you watch Airbender, if you watch Avatar, The Last Airbender, it's bossing say here. There's nothing going on here. There's no issues here. It's just whatever. I don't know. I just had that tweet up. So I want to remind you all to please, if you haven't already, please head to Friends of Gas and Creek. It's friendsofgasandcreek.com. If you haven't already, I need you to, of course, the headings up top, you can learn about the issue, see the visual storyline. But more importantly, we need you to come down here. If you haven't done so already, and become a friend, fill out this form. We will not take your information and sell it. We will not spam you. We will keep you up to date on the issues regarding our efforts to save the creek or advocate for the creek. So if you haven't done so already, go to Friends of Gas and Creek, fill out the become a friend form, hit submit, and boom bip. That's my reminder to you all. Let me see what else we want to talk about. Real quick. Remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago? The money is there and it's for our community. Millions for South Carolina rent assistance remain as eviction moratorium is extended. This state will not launch a campaign. To alert people to these funds. I don't know why the state hasn't employed some sort of marketing campaign. We've been talking about this for over a month. Even before that, when the funds were released, I did a quick Twitch mention of it. This is tough. Like, people need to have access to this money. There's a looming crisis on hand. Remember, North Charleston is the eviction capital of the country. North Charleston, South Carolina is the eviction capital of the country. So the fact that there isn't widespread news, this information has not been made available to folks, is beyond me. I haven't heard things. I haven't seen enough. I watch enough TV. I listen to, I think, enough terrestrial radio, enough public radio at least. Like, why couldn't this be on public radio? Right? Like, why couldn't this be on Z93? Why couldn't this be on all the Christian radio programming where a lot of black folks still listen to? That it's mind-boggling. So that's still a sad story that's remaining. I also want to remind y'all. Let me see if there was some clips that I was gonna play. I'm honestly just it's just a different vibe this morning. Not too many videos. I did want to go to. I mentioned this too. I want to lift up the work of Black Beyond. I told y'all this last week. I had the privilege of being a part of this virtual exhibition that was digital, was online, and it had stunning images. I know it was tough to view. I want you to just, if you can, go to Black Beyond, support this page, head to the link in the bio, and then in the bio you'll see the link tree, and you'll see how to access the portal here, access the artwork here. I want to encourage that. Black Beyond on Instagram, and catch up with that. I wanted to show y'all. Yeah, here it is, real quick before I bounce. Part of my exhibit. This has no sound. Plus, my sound was copyrighted, so I couldn't. So this was my exhibition right here. This is my. I made this video. They made it into this cube, and it's a whole. It's my thoughts. I narrate my thoughts on Black womanhood, Black fly girl, fresh fly girl, Black women aesthetic from the 80s and 90s, and how that shaped my politics, and include words from Sister Soldier, Queen Latifah. Shout out to Queen Latifah for winning her award last night. Shout out Jersey, and so some other powerful images of women throughout the diaspora. I'm really excited. So yeah, go to Black Beyond and check it out. It's real trippy, as you can see, but that's what I like about it. is something like I've never seen before, and it's just really amazing, and just love seeing Black women be creative and color outside the lines. So yeah, go to Black Beyond when you get a chance. Let me see what's in there. I'm glad y'all like it. Yeah, it's copyrighted, so I can't even play it if I wanted to, because I have it on my computer, but it's just I use a lot of copyrighted material in it. This story is on the front page. You know, Adam Parker wrote it because it's about Black pain. Again, I want to say this. Unearthing the Untold. Adam Parker wrote a story about how there was a slave badge found. I would say ever since I started the Charleston Activist Network platform on IG, I've been very it's been very uncomfortable when white folks kind of come into my DMs and kind of brag about their family's ownership of slave badges. Again, I want to say that Black survivorship of atrocities, to me, this is akin to an artifact that you would you would associate with Auschwitz, and I'm not comparing atrocities to be dismissive or to diminish any instance, but we know that, you know, these were enslaved people here in Africa, I mean in America, and their bodies, they had to adorn their bodies with badges such as these because they were property, and their bodies were policed. If they did not have the badge, they were subject to the most brutal punishment and the most brutal consequences. And I'm not saying that out by his owner as a servant. It was found in the site of College of Charleston Archaeological Project in March of 2021. You know, to me, I hope, because I have not read the story in its entirety, I hope they approach this with some care. These are not just artifacts. These are not just trinkets that you found. These are symbols of oppression, of a great sense of loss. Yeah, unearthing the untold. I don't think it's untold. I think, you know, I don't know. It's just weird how they beautify it in a way that highlights the excavation. But I really do hope that Post and Courier one day enlist the help of Black editors and Black writers to write these stories from a more rich perspective than a white man who just feels very comfortable luxuriating in Black death and Black enslavement, which I do think Adam Parker does. He enjoys that. Yeah, that's it on that. Let me see, what time is it? Yeah, 8. There were a couple of videos I wanted to hit up regarding local news. Let me see. I wanted to hit this up right here with Hemi McMaster because of the whole veto. This happened after the Friday live stream.
The new today at 5:30, some new details on the budget for the state.
Oops.
Governor Henry McMaster is vetoing more than 200 provisos in the state budget following the General Assembly passing the spending plan earlier this week. The reason? McMaster says the budget lacks transparency. News 19's Julia Kaufman joins us now in studio with the details on the problems that the governor found. Julia?
Yeah, that's right. Governor McMaster has vetoed 226
Wow.
earmarked appropriations of the budget. That accounts for $152 million. Now, earmarks are requests lawmakers can put in the budget for special projects. Well,
I ain't gonna lie, they need to look at some of them earmarks, especially Greek Freak. We gotta take a look at the Greek Freak's earmarks. We let that shit slide too often. Democrats in there padding shit in there, and you don't even know that they're just looking out for their family, their friends, their ex-wives, their ex-brothers-in-law. You got to look at these earmarks.
the governor did commend the General Assembly for putting money toward education, broadband, and law enforcement.
I hear you, Jessica.
He says their special project requests lacked explanation of how exactly that money would be spent.
Public transparency must be absolute and uncompromised in order to maintain the public's trust and confidence in state government. Disclosure of the sponsor and recipient, as I mentioned above, is not enough. The bulk of these earmarked appropriations still lacks sufficient context, description, explanation of merit, and that is the justification of how the recipient intends to spend the funds.
Interesting. Let's bounce. Let's hop over to WCBD. check out some Charleston news. There's something else I wanted to talk about. I know I'm gonna kick myself when I get off. I don't have that much time today to play around. I did not wake up on the wrong side of the bed, but I did wake up and try to do like all this stuff. Wait. There was something I wanted to. What was it? Oh, somewhere again. No. Not Pleasant. This right here. This is one thing I wanted to hit up, but this is not it.
Leaders in Charleston expressing just how important it is to get tested for HIV. The mayor and medical leaders gathered at City Hall today. News 2's Forrest Tucker was there as they encouraged people to take advantage of testing opportunities.
This is from Friday.
There are many options for people to get tested for HIV, and all of them are free. We heard from representatives who say it's never been more important to get tested. The Medical University of South Carolina, the Department of Health and Environmental Control, and Palmetto Community Care are just a few of the organizations that will be providing free of charge testing for anyone who wants it. Also, medical leaders focusing on their U=U campaign. U=U means that with modern treatment for HIV, the level of the virus in someone's blood can be decreased to an undetectable level and won't be able to be transmitted to another person. The mayor says it's important that everyone works together to end HIV in Charleston by 2030.
But it's all a part of bringing this healthcare community together and all our citizens to collaborate, to work together, to have a joint focus, kind of purposeful actions together.
Now, the free testing doesn't just last this weekend. Healthcare organizations are offering testing free of charge on a regular basis.
That's important. That's important. You know what I wanted to, oh my God, this is what I wanted to do. I just wanted to end on a good note. I wanted to end on a great note. I'm looking at you, Jessica. Yeah, those slave badges are gross for sure. As always, Instagram Live for follow-ups. I will definitely use that when I have time. Today is crazy. Nicole on Twitch, you said, and Rajan, I saw what you said about Rajan. You said, good morning, Marcus. Rajan, you said transparency is needed. It is. He gonna cloak his calls for transparency some other BS. But yeah, we do have to. No matter if you DRR, Democrat, Republican, y'all have to look at them earmarks, because I'm telling you, the Greek Freak was going ham with making sure that his new wife's mom's nonprofit was set up. You feel me? Like, and the Greek Freak is Todd Rutherford, if y'all don't know who that is. I'm gonna stop explaining these names at some point. Y'all just gonna have to figure it out who these nicknames belong to. Keto Beer Ken, Greek Freak. It's just I'm gonna stop explaining the inside joke. Marcus McDonald, you said, good morning, Marcus. Transparency is necessary for sure, but Witch McMaster had all that smoke. Police fraudulent in South Carolina Police Department. Definitely, especially SLED. Yeah, I completely agree, Marcus. Especially with SLED. Where's all this like about beating your chest on some other shit? Let me go to my Instagram real quick, and I'm gonna bounce. Keep saying that. Wait, Nicole, about it says, you talking to Jessica, you said your husband is on a sub. Before deploying, they found out that someone had a Nazi coin on board, and they literally wouldn't leave until it was off the boat. Oh my gosh. Right? Like, the appropriate response. I wouldn't even want all that. Like you said, bad juju. Exactly. Vestiges of white supremacy. Little souvenirs of white supremacy. This is why, you remember when I was talking about the whole last year with the jewelry line, right? That's exactly the same thing to me. It's just like these things, like there's a way that people like to take little trinkets from black horrors and turn them into like these pieces, like Nazi coins and shit. Like, it's just weird. And and Courtney said this last year when I made my concerns known. Courtney was like, it feels like how when they would burn and lynch black people, how they would break off pieces of body parts and sell them as souvenirs. That's how it feels. And I think that whenever you write about slave badges or whatever, you need to talk about that. Like, these are disgusting little trinkets from that were a part of a brutal practice. Right. And I think we have to start, when you start employing that language, these weddings on these plantations start feeling a little wild. You're like, oh yeah, do I really want to be here? Yeah. Do I really want? When this city becomes more, when it actually shows a commitment to calling a thing. My brother and I had a conversation last night, and he said something. We were talking about interpersonal relationships, but he says, you can't heal what is not named. Something to that effect. My brother said, and this city refuses to name a thing. They refuse to name white supremacy. They refuse to acknowledge it. And when you don't name it, you can't address it. You can't heal. And I think if you stop naming these things as like artifacts and treating them as these like little, like these things that just stay in history, these are powerful symbols that should be talked about, but it should be talked about, from a certain perspective. I'm not saying that only black people can engage with it. It's just a certain perspective that's needed to talk about this loss. Black survivorship, surviving apartheid, which is Jim and Jane Crow, surviving the enslavement, the period of enslavement, surviving the black codes here in South Carolina. This is real. And we don't treat that survivorship the way we treat people who've made it through other atrocities. I gave my dad a hug because yesterday, and I told him, like, you survived a lot. He survived a lot of police overreach on Wamala that existed back when he was younger. He survived poverty that was foisted upon him. And like, we just don't value the survivorship of so many who bear these names, these distinct names: Gadsden, Middleton, Brown, White, all these names that come from these plantations, that come from this era. We just don't treat it the same. We treat it as like, oh yeah, they had to wear these badges. Yeah. Right? It's crazy. All right. I wanted to lift up Raven Saunders. Y'all know Raven Saunders. I don't know why they won't let me play volume on this. Y'all know Raven Saunders. Matter of fact, she's a Burke graduate. Shout out Burke High School. She's made her second Olympic team. Oops, I spelled her name wrong. And she's just amazing. We're going to play this real quick.
Maggie Ewan trying to make the U.S. Olympic team, currently in fourth.
I want to fast forward to the black girls because I'm rooting for everybody black. I want to do both. I want to show off. I think is it Amber Ramsey? Let me see. Her last name is Ramsey, but let's play her too because she's bad.
To the ring, Jessica Ramsey. In round
she's 4. Amazing. It's not Raven.
That Olympic trials best of 66 feet 1/4 of an inch. Her sixth and final effort, but she is.
Look at these athletes.
And that one shy of her best, 59 feet.
Look at these amazing athletes.
Her throw in round 4, just off the world lead by Gongli Zhao.
I'm telling you, y'all, these strong bodies, or these women, like the women in hammer throw and shot put, I just love seeing it. I love seeing it, and I did. You like every time this makes it to the forefront of like our consciousness in terms of sports because of the Olympics. Like, we're not thinking about shot put, throughout the year. But every time I see this part of track and field, it reminds me of how much skill is required to launch this shot put, and how much technique, and like just looking at them, it's just amazing. And then looking at their bodies, I love seeing strong bodies that are big and thick and still that are beautiful regardless. I just really love seeing it. It's just very, very important for girls to see powerful feminine bodies.
China 67 3/4.
Here comes Raven.
Now it's down to the one final
Look
throw.
At Raven's shoulders, y'all.
This is a big moment for Raven Saunders. Has to take some satisfaction in the fact she has made her second Olympic team. A big road back from
she is incredible.
Depression, considered suicide, but now she is back.
Look at that.
And another big launch of a throw, but that's going to be short as well. So Jessica Ramsey will get the best of Saunders on this day, but no disappointment there for Raven Saunders, as a strong U.S. team will now go to Tokyo.
I love it.
And on behalf, as you can see the emotion there in Saunders.
Y'all, I just shout out to Raven. Shout out, she's been shouting out Charleston. She's been repping for her city, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see this girl with this fade and this Hulk Incredible Hulk green hair and these grills in her teeth and these tattoos and these shoulders. It's so important to see Raven, not just because she's from Charleston and she's doing great things, but it's just important to see Raven, especially after disclosing her battle with mental health, depression and suicidal ideation. Y'all know I've been very candid and open about my struggles with that in previous years. I struggled with depression, crippling depression. I attempted suicide before I relocated back to home to Charleston. It's real, and I'm all for removing the stigma and talking about it more openly and honestly. It's not just about going to get a therapist. It's really deep work that requires an amazing support system. Like, my family really stepped up and was clutch for me. And so just to see Raven just overcome that, to me, really resonated with me over the weekend. So I wanted to share that story with y'all here and reiterate it, though. We talked about white myth making, but we ended up with an Olympic moment, 2 Black women dominating the sport. I love it. So y'all take care. I gotta go. Got a busy day for work and other things. Y'all keep me in your thoughts, though. I'm gonna need to get it together with my energy and I need to get it together. Organization, I need to get it together. So keep me in your thoughts. And hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up if you have any questions in the DMs. I appreciate y'all. All right, take care.